Imagine walking onto a construction site. The builders have all their tools, they've got stacks of materials everywhere, but nobody bothered to draft a blueprint. They're just randomly hammering wood together, crossing their fingers, and hoping a house magically appears. Well, we can instantly see how disastrous that is for a building, right? Yet this is exactly how millions of people approach their lives. They wake up, react to whatever happens around them, and just hope the favorable winds of chance will blow them toward a good life. But here's the thing. If you drift without a deliberate plan, you are literally leaving your destiny to chance. So it's time to take out a metaphorical whiteboard, stop reacting, and actually start designing your future.
To understand the immense cost of ignoring this, let's look at a wild, real-world example. Years ago, a mentor named Earl Schoaf was speaking with a young man and asked him a very simple question. He said, "Let me see your current list of goals." The young man replied that, well, he didn't have a list. Schoaf then said something completely startling. He told him, "If you don't have a list of your goals, I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s." And he did. He guessed it perfectly. Now, the core lesson here isn't some magic trick. It's a profound behavioral truth. When you lack a clear, written direction, that lack of intent is directly reflected in your outcomes. And yes, that includes your finances. Ignoring the design of your life carries a drastic, measurable cost.
So how do we actually fix this? We have to start by understanding human motivation. You see, while we look back at our past to gain experience, we have to look forward for our inspiration. The core engine that gives us the daily energy to get up, do our jobs, overcome friction, and build new skills is what we can call the promise of the future. If that promise isn't crystal clear, or worse, if you're just living inside someone else's plan, your engine basically has no fuel. A compelling future acts as a psychological engine. It gives you so much forward momentum that it helps you push right past the obstacles sitting in your way today.
To begin drafting your blueprint, let's mentally draw two columns on our whiteboard. This is the why of our model. On the left side, we have what turns you on. These are the things that give you zest, the things that make you want to jump out of bed early and stay up late, totally maximizing your abilities. On the right side, we have what turns you off. These are the things that drain your vitality and just destroy your appetite for daily accomplishment. You absolutely have to clearly define both. Once you settle on what drains you and consciously list out what inspires you, you create this incredibly clear filter for every single decision you make going forward.
And this perfectly illustrates one of the most misunderstood rules of human behavior. People are constantly asking, how do I manage my time, or how do I find the discipline? But honestly, they're asking the wrong question. When your why is massively strong, the mechanics of the how become incredibly simple. Think about it. If your reasons are weak, studying all the time management hacks in the world isn't going to save you. But if the goal genuinely matters to you deep down, you will effortlessly figure out how to read the right book, take the right class, and wake up at whatever hour you need to. Your reasons dictate your appetite for the challenge.
So, the crucial point is making sure those reasons actually have some real weight to them. Let's de-jargonize this by splitting our goals into two buckets: objects and purposes. An object is just a physical item. Let's say your goal is $1 million home on a hill. That is an object. It's just a collection of bricks, wood, and a roof. Now, it's a fine goal, but on its own, it lacks deep gravity. The purpose, on the other hand, is the deeper meaning. It's defining that this house will be the centerpiece of your family's activities, a place where unique people gather, share ideas, and build lasting relationships. The object is just the container. The purpose is what actually happens inside it.
Let's map this mathematically on our board. Purpose is always greater than object. Now, it is perfectly fine to pursue physical objects, wealth, or specific titles. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want a motivation engine that won't break down the second things get tough, you absolutely must clearly define the underlying purpose behind every object you chase. You need to write it out. Here is why I want this money. Here is why I want this specific place. When you tie a deep, emotional reason to a physical goal, that is when your motivation transforms into a force that can pull you through absolutely any challenge.
And defining these strong, purposeful reasons doesn't just result in a slight improvement in your mood. It's way bigger than that. When you stop crossing your fingers and start actively engineering your reasons, it triggers a fundamental 180-degree shift in your trajectory. You stop being a passive reactor to whatever your environment throws at you, and you become the active architect of your reality. It's a complete personal revolution.
Okay, so let's move to the how of our model. How do we actually start constructing this new future today? Interestingly, it begins with a chain reaction of tiny, seemingly insignificant habits.
Imagine two really simple actions: picking up a discarded toothpick wrapper from a cafe floor, or just remembering to turn off the lights when you leave a hotel room. On the surface, these sound entirely trivial. You might ask, what difference does that make? The hotel just saves a fraction of a cent on electricity. But that entirely misses the point. Step 1 is executing the small discipline. Step 2 is the automatic psychological reward that follows, which is immense self-worth. Because you see, the real benefit isn't just saving the hotel a few pennies. The ultimate benefit is proving something to yourself. Through your own actions, you confirm that you are a disciplined person. You generate the habit of self-worth. You literally feel better about yourself because you behave like someone who cares. And when you start to deeply respect your own habits, your confidence in your ability to tackle those massive purpose-driven goals absolutely skyrockets.
Which brings us to the who pillar of our model. This is perhaps the most profound shift in perspective you can make on this entire journey. The ultimate goal of setting goals, of defining your purpose, and of building these daily disciplines isn't just to acquire a giant pile of objects. The greatest value in life is not what you get, it is what you become in the process of getting it. Developing the temperament, the skills, and the attitude required to reach your goals, that is the real prize. The objects, they're just the byproduct of your personal transformation.
This leads us to a highly critical question, one you should literally write down and reflect on today. What kind of person must I become to achieve all I want? This requires a bit of harsh truth. If you want extraordinary opportunities, you have to realize that you might need to become wiser, healthier, or mentally stronger than you are right now. You might need to seek out coaching or aggressively develop new skills. Because when you finally step up and knock on the door of opportunity, and that door actually opens, you must stand there as a highly capable, attractive person, or you simply won't be invited inside.
As you become this more valuable person, your capacity to affect the world expands into something called investing life into life. Now, let's translate this somewhat philosophical idea into plain English. If you try to aggressively hoard all your knowledge and all your success, it just stagnates. But if you invest your life, meaning you share your ideas, your information, and your positive influence with other people, you multiply your value. When multiple voices and diverse perspectives combine, they create enterprises, movements, and solutions that are vastly bigger than any single person could ever build alone.
All right, let's shift to the immediate practical application of everything we've covered here. You need to physically capture this design. First, take it out of your head. Dreams just floating around in your mind are nothing more than wishes. Second, put it on paper. The moment you write a goal down, you formalize it. You literally turn invisible ideas into a workable composite that you can actually engineer. And third, release the anxiety of perfection. Don't worry about finishing the whole list. If you write down 100 things and accomplish 80 of them, the 20 you miss really won't matter. Plus, as you grow and learn over the next year, your priorities are going to change anyway, and you can just revise the list. The magic is in the act of designing, not in flawless completion.
Now, as you embark on this journey, we do need to set up some firm guardrails using the principle of contrast. We have two powerful words to guide us here: behold and beware. Behold is your positive engine. It means enthusiastically looking at the future, seeing the possibilities, the opportunities, and the amazing potential relationships waiting for you. But balancing that on the other side is beware. This is your protective shield. It means fiercely protecting your integrity and remaining hyper-aware of the hidden traps that come with ambition, like losing your friends or compromising your core values.
This brings us to a stark, absolutely crucial warning about the danger of obsessive pursuit. Beware of what you become in pursuit of what you want. You see, it is terrifyingly easy to become so obsessed with an object or a milestone that you lose your sense of reason. Paying too high a price for a goal, like sacrificing your relationships or your virtues, is a devastating lesson, and unfortunately, it's one people usually only learn after the damage is permanently done. You must never let the pursuit of the what destroy the integrity of the who. To put it as clearly as possible, the greatest source of devastation doesn't actually come from outside forces. It comes from self-unhappiness. Now look, a mild form of fear or caution is highly constructive. Like, if you're stepping off a curb in Manhattan and a yellow taxi is speeding right towards you, you absolutely should be worried enough to step back. That keeps you alive. But destructive self-loathing, being fundamentally unhappy with your own character because you compromised your values, that will ruin the entire journey, regardless of how many goals you cross off your list. So if you apply this blueprint, if you start this deliberate journey of being meticulous about your goals, balancing those objects with deep purpose, and building those tiny habits of self-worth, you achieve the ultimate outcome. You don't just acquire things. By designing your future with intention and unwavering integrity, you transform into someone of immense value. But it leaves you with one final, unavoidable question to ask yourself right now. When you look at the life you are currently living, whose blueprint are you building?